When I paint, I feel like a magician. I'm well known for painting flowers, leaves in particular, but deep down my interest is about time, memory and haunting. The flowers and leaves are my muse, which I use to tell a bigger story. I often play around with scale and composition to create a sense of being lost in a void or being overly confined. I'm very drawn to the metaphysical and the things that we cannot see. I'm fascinated by the role memory plays within how we perceive our world. As a painter, my preoccupation is how we see things, how I see things, and how I might see something that you don't see. I work to give meaning to things that don't necessarily have meaning at first glance. I've always been drawn to the botanical kingdom, and flowers in particular. Flowers have a unique symbolic language. This year, I invested in a piece of land by the river near my village, where I envisioned to plant my own secret flower garden. The soil here is very hard, and we use different tools to what I'm used to in England. You couldn't get your fork in the ground here if you tried, so we use pickaxes instead. I love it here by the river, the sound of the golden orioles singing in the quiet. Since my move here to Spain and being inspired by its great painters, I've been more involved with transitioning over from my watercolours towards oil painting. Within my oil painting, I'm able to paint different subjects because there are certain effects that I cannot achieve within my watercolours. For this reason, I became fascinated with painting flowers that had been submerged in water. There's something about the submergence and the disappearing of things, and if you leave it over time, flowers become lace-like and translucent, almost phantasmagorical. The transparency in itself is incredibly difficult to paint, and it absorbs my focus and attention. The ghost-like filigree of something that once lived is profoundly beautiful to me. For 5 years, I immersed myself in the colour blue. This entire project was inspired by Novalis' book Blauw Bloem and the initiation of the Romantic movement. It was during this time I first discovered oil paint, whilst travelling through the distant lands of Tasmania searching for sun orchids. I ended up getting quite lost in blue over those 5 years. It affected me deeply, and this phase of my life represents a sort of perpetual longing. These are my massive leaves in watercolour. All of this work is preoccupied with landscape and mapping. I call the leaves my mind maps because many of the veins and their divisions represent all of the decisions we make and the forks in our lives. It's the landscape of decision making which, again, is in itself invisible, but there is something tangible that comes out of those decisions. I feel that the huge leaves reflect something profoundly deep within me, and they are all on the edges of the paper, on the outside looking in. Half here, half not here. I find Spain to be a very mystical country, particularly Andalusia, which is possibly why I'm here, as I'm drawn to the mysterious. I happened upon this particular village quite by accident. I fell in love with the house and felt a deep connection and knew that I needed to be here. The whole house has become an art school and studio. It's wonderful for a painter because it has all these south-facing windows full of natural light. It's built properly in the old style and doesn't require much to look after. Simplicity I find to be very elegant. I run courses from my house and people come here and learn with me. I consider myself to be its custodian. The house has been put in my hands for the duration of my life and my role is to simply look after it. We nurture things for the time that we are here. I'm just passing through and the house is passing through me. That's kind of how I view life, everything in transition. Sometimes it's very difficult to exist like this. As an artist, you can get very hooked onto an idea and you want something to look a certain way, and it often doesn't. If you hang on too tightly, you stop the little accidents that need to happen. I'm forever looking between the spaces and holding space open for what we can't quite understand or anticipate.